Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome to the Deal Scout. On today's show, we're going to have a conversation from a guy who went from VC to tech founder. Mr. Zac, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Josh.
Yeah, so I kind of spilled the beans on a little bit of, where you are and where you're going. But kind of if I meet you in a coffee shop and I'm like, hey, Zac, what do you do? How do you introduce yourself?
Now I introduce myself that I run an app to help couples stay together. About a year and a half ago, I would have said I was a venture capitalist. So shifted pretty drastically.
Yeah, so an app to help people stay together from VC. That is a major shift. Talk us through your story there.
For me, it was something that I was really helping really people try to find what they wanted to do when I was really investing in kind of some top entrepreneurs. And from that, I was like, okay, at the end of the day, why am I trying to help others? Why don't I try to chase my own innovation? And I was looking at kind of dating apps in the market and social in general, and consumer social really caught my eye. And to the point where I was looking through and I'm like, okay, wait, why are there hundreds of apps out there to help me find someone, but no one cares what I do after that? There's nothing out there to help me keep them. I'm like, that's a little strange from a churn perspective. When a dating app does their job right, they lose a customer. When they do their job wrong, they lose a customer. And when one of their competitors does their job right, they also lose a customer. So it's like a lose-lose situation. But if you look at dating apps, they're some of the most profitable apps on the market. So I'm like, wait a second, something doesn't add up here. And when you look a little bit deeper into it, I'm like, wait, okay, no one's touching it because they're just making enough money on dating. You have Match who's tried to do something similar, but still focusing on dating. And I'm like, okay, this is a wide open market that no one's touching on. And why don't I take a look at it? And then after a little while, I pitched some people. And my kind of first advisor was someone who I pitched on another angel deal that I was pitching at the time. And he's like, you got to look at this. And eventually kind of ended up just diving into it. And then no longer a venture capitalist, still do some angel investing on the side here and there. But mainly my predominant focus is on my company now.
Yeah, so that's interesting. You kind of broke down dating as a ROI. You're like, the cost of acquisition of a client or as a relationship rather than keeping. So that's interesting. With VC, let's go with starting. How did you get started in VC? Because you're a young fellow yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you just age extremely well. You look
No,
young
I'm young.
Okay.
I'm young. I do have some gray hair, but that's besides the point. For me, I was lucky enough to go to NYU Stern. The last name matches, not related, but was able to use it to my advantage. So was working every semester. I was an undergrad pretty much. And by the time I was a sophomore, I was working at a VC fund as basically an analyst. I was an intern to start. Then I kept working there. And then eventually I was a full-time analyst by my senior year of college. And when I graduated college, I was promoted to associate. So I kind of got decent amount of experience being in VC and was with the firm while they kind of grew from, 50, 100 million under management to about 700 under management.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what was your role and responsibility as analyst, as intern, moving up to associate? Like, what did that look like in your growth there?
Yeah, so it started out as an intern where really I was just kind of looking through deals that people would bring in, giving my thought process on them, writing up report, doing diligence. As I got to be an analyst, it started to be a little bit more of really full diligence, talking with the partner. And then as kind of towards the end of it and into associate, it was pitching my own deals, finding my own deals and looking at kind of everything and working as kind of almost like a principal to a degree where I'm really representing the firm, looking through different things, but still in the associate position where really looking and trying to find my own things, pitching them to the partners in weekly deal meetings and trying to find kind of the best things that made sense.
All right. So you and I get to go back in time, right?
Yeah.
To the Zac who's sitting as an intern, just got hired on by a VC firm to do basic deal scrubbing, right? So
Yeah.
100, how many emails per day or let's look at per month. How many deals were you looking at as an intern per month coming across your pipe?
It had to be a couple hundred.
Okay. So let's call it, 200 deals.
Yeah.
You and I get to go back in time to sit with Zac, who's about to scrub 200 deals a month. What are the three things that you're going to tell Zac, the younger intern Zac, to look for in a good deal? Three things, because it's just cold email. Here's some deal flow.
Easy one. Does the idea make any logical sense? That was one that was, screens out half. So automatically we're down to 100. From there, it's looking at the founders and looking at if it's an early stage company, if they have any experience or why them. So that would be kind of the second one. And then the third one would be, depending at what stage they're on, to look at their social media and to see if it's real or fake, because it's really easy to buy followers today. And I think a lot of founders do it thinking that the VCs will be dumb, when in reality, it's really easy to see if you have 10,000 followers, but 6 likes, that something doesn't add up.
Yeah. Now I'm on LinkedIn. I've got 20,000 followers, which thank God I didn't buy, but sometimes I get no likes. It drives me
LinkedIn,
nuts.
I will say, is totally different. I don't put as much emphasis on LinkedIn rather than the actual socials like Twitter, Instagram, and so on, only because LinkedIn isn't as strong from a brand perspective, especially if you're looking at consumer and whatnot. Whereas if you're a consumer company specifically, your Instagram, your Twitter, and today now even your TikTok has to be, it has to show that you have some brand value.
See that is such a good tidbit right there that we just yanked out of there. It's the different engagement, the different branding, the different markets or the indicators of value based on that. That's really cool. All right, so we're sitting with the younger Zac, and you get to pass on like one piece of golden nugget and one book to the younger Zac, who's an intern at a VC fund.
Oh, I mean, I already read it at the time. I would say 0 to 1 was a great book. It was just super easy. Like that's the cop out answer, I would say, that everyone would basically give. Now looking back, I would probably have to say there's a few books that I think would make a lot of sense. And after reading them more recently, I would say the one that I would definitely recommend is Why Startups Fail. I think that one was absolutely incredible. And then beyond that, I loved The Art of Startup Fundraising, because I read it as a founder, because obviously it's different to raise as a founder versus a VC, but it gives you a lot of perspective into how VC works at a very young age. And it would be something that would really allow you to understand what the founder is going through in the process of VC. If you're just deal scrubbing and looking through 200 deals a week, you don't fully see that full life cycle.
Yeah. All right. So now you've scrubbed 200 deals a month. You've looking at emails all day long, pitch deck on pitch deck, executive summary. So now you're a tech founder, and you and I are building a business together, and it's my job to put deals together and send over to VC funds cold. Right? What's some advice that you give to me? Hey, I got one email to capture their attention at a VC fund. What's that email going to say? What's the subject line?
The subject line, ooh, that's a tough one.
That's a good one, right?
It really depends on what your business would be. Like, depending on the VC you're talking to, depending on if they're kind of a late stage fund, an early stage fund, depending on if you're an early stage founder. So we'll take some basics here, and we'll just kind of assume that you're an early stage founder, you're in tech, and you're reaching out to a mid-tier VC fund, because realistically, that's the best and most likely response rate that you'll get as a founder. Because if you're reaching out to one of the top funds, very rarely will they answer based on an email, unless the subject line is, I just hit number 1 on the app store, you're going to want to fund this. Yeah. Which works. If you can show the metrics, completely works.
Yeah.
So I would say for that tagline or for that email, it would basically be something that the partner believes strongly in. And you could kind of get that from either reading their Twitter or their LinkedIn. Most people in tech, and most people specifically in VC, are heavy Twitter users. So Twitter is one of the first places where you can see what people are doing, what they think about, and they use it almost as their soapbox. So utilize that in order to understand what people are saying, what people are doing, so that you can find something that you either both agree on or something that your company represents, to show that, hey, you said this 6 weeks ago. I'm doing my diligence on you because I think you're the right person to fund this, because you understand what I understand. So trying to link them, I think, is your best chances at a cold outreach.
All right. Now, so we hung out with the intern, then got promoted to associate, right? after doing some hard work and such like that. So you're just about to go, make the transition to, building your own tech startup. You've been pitching your own deals now to the group. You've done some angel investing yourself. You went from, analyst or intern to now angel investor, right? So what advice would you give to that Zac who's about to go, all right, guys, peace out. I'm about to go build my tech company. When did that happen, and what advice would you give?
Yeah. So I'm gonna give a caveat, and this is where it gets a little interesting. I was fired because I told them what I was doing. So it's not like I just one day picked up and left. The decision was made for me, and it was incredible. It was terrible all at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it forced me. I have no choice but to succeed now. So that was a little bit more difficult, but it was something where it was still, I knew it was the right decision because I was gearing up and I really saw the writing on the wall that, what, at the end of the day, what am I going to regret more, staying in VC or going and becoming a founder? And I realized if I never became a founder, I would regret it. I know I can always go back into VC. At the end of the day, like I'm lucky enough where if I really, really, really wanted to, and things didn't work out, I could find a VC that would work. So I think I'm lucky there. But I would say the advice I would give that Zac, for right before I was getting fired, I would say the advice is going to be, it's going to be okay, is the big one. And everything works out as long as you keep working.
Yeah.
I would say that's the biggest one.
You only fail if you quit, in terms of like, I just give up completely and I leave the business world, right? All right. So how did you said it was pretty tough on you, right? So there's I quit and then you're fired, right? So I've been fired a few times, not the best employee in the world. So how did that impact you mentally? One day I went from VC to working on the back of a moving truck, right? Like it sucked. It was terrible. Like, how did that impact you mindset wise?
It was tough. I vividly remember it. We had a beautiful office. It was a Wednesday afternoon. Someone called me in their office. They're like, today's your last day, you're fired. And I got up. I said, okay, grabbed my stuff, and walked out. And I decided to walk home that day, think about things. I actually called my cousin because he had been someone who had been guiding me and kind of advising me through everything. He's a lawyer in the startup space. And I will never forget him just screaming congratulations at me. And I was like, I'm tearing up, but thank you. And he's like, no, seriously, like this is the best thing that could have happened because you were going back to the office, you had a cushy job, everything was going well, like VC is great, but you would have never truly left. You would have never truly moved and worked as hard as you would have if you didn't leave. And that was the truth. And that was what drove me. I mean, from starting my company, I really worked it. I didn't go out. I sacrificed everything. I built my own little marketing company, unofficial, because I didn't have money. And I wouldn't have done that if I was a VC, but it taught me so much that really let me move forward.
Wow. All right. So you call up your cousin. Why'd you choose your cousin first to call?
So I want to say it was my dad and my mom, and then my cousin right after. And it was my cousin because he was someone who I'd been talking with about everything with. I had gotten some legal documents the week before from the fund, basically disclosure documents, and we were talking about them. So I submitted the disclosure documents that week, and that was the same week I got fired. So it was one of those things where I'm like, well, we thought this could happen. It was unlikely, but it happened.
Yeah.
So I figured I had to kind of just call him and get this thought process. And as well as kind of, they gave me a severance package. I actually declined the severance package because it was a joke. So it was one of those things where he's like, yeah, no, you don't need that. Like you'll get much more utility out of talking about it than out of trying to sign away and never say a word about whatever happened.
Yeah. So super awesome. Cause your cousin has the opportunity to work with startups being an attorney. Yeah. So he gets to see all the stories kind of like from, usually, people get into startups because something's a deep driver. There was a major life event which drove them into entrepreneurship, a major problem that they're facing, and that drives them in. So he gets to see kind of like the life cycle of an entrepreneur, right? What do you think he sees in you? If I was to call up your cousin, I'm like, hey, what's your cousin's name?
Justin.
Justin?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Justin. I'm calling about Zac. We're thinking about investing in his business, his tech business that he's. What's something I should know about Zac? What would your cousin say?
My cousin would say great things, and I'm very lucky to have him. But he would basically say that he believes in what we're doing and he understands the drive and what we've been kind of through and where we're going. And I think that's one of the most important things that he could say. Uh, he has known me for a very long time, obviously, and he's seen me go from what do I want to do to okay, I'm going to do VC to okay, I'm going to do entrepreneurship. And he would be able to really talk to everything because I've been talking with him about the idea. I want to say he was probably the second person I pitched. And I can vividly remember going to his apartment in the city, bringing him a bagel and orange juice one Sunday morning, and us talking about it. And he's like, okay, this idea actually makes sense. Like you could actually do this. And I was like, okay, that's a start.
Yeah. All right. So how does what kind of bagel do you get if you're trying to pitch someone? What kind of bagel do you get? Is it everything bagel lox and what?
Yep. Let me everything bagel lox, scallion cream cheese. Typical.
That's the way to get an attorney's attention, right there, ladies and gentlemen. If you get nothing else from this conversation, that's how to get a startup attorney's attention. All right. So you made that switch. Now you said that was a really tough thing for you, but in the meantime, so you said, to make things work, you built a marketing company, you were doing some stuff while you're building this. Talk to us about that kind of hustle, right? So you have you built up a business to fund a business, essentially, right?
So it wasn't to fund a business, it was to make the business work. So I basically hired interns for college credit so that they could do a lot of the marketing that we needed for official because I didn't have money to pay an agency. So I ended up building a multi-level intern agency for kids that were all getting school credit because it was COVID. They wanted something to do. They needed something that was interesting. And we were able to sell that the company's name was Official. Official's the future, and kids thought this could be the next Facebook. So they wanted to work with us early because the one thing I promised every one of them was, if this works out and if you do your job well, one day I will hire you if I can. Obviously, I can't do it now. Yeah. And we were really lucky. It was times where we were getting 1,000 applications a month, and it was ridiculous, but we were able to do a lot with it. And we were really blessed to be able to do that. But that taught me how to manage people, how to set up structure. Like we had everything there, and it was really an efficient system that kind of worked its way and was the initial way for me to test my own leadership abilities, what I did right, what I did wrong, more importantly, and kind of let me see how to manage at a low stake level.
Yeah. Do you still run that organization?
No, we shut it down. It just became too much.
Yeah. 1,000 applicants. So did you say a month?
A month. Yeah.
Holy moly. That's a lot that's steel scrubbing too, right? So now you hired a lot of people, a lot of interns. What makes a good intern? What makes a bad intern?
The easiest one is how excited they are about the idea. So we hired an intern named Sarah, and I literally interviewed her on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
And it was something where I knew instantly she was definitely going to be great. Hired her. She ended up working with us, and now she actually runs our marketing division for us. She obviously is no longer an intern, but it was something where it's really easy to see who's excited about what you're doing and who can make the mission their own. And those are the people you want to hire, whether it's interns, developers, managers, whoever it is, because if they don't understand what you're doing and why, they'll never truly be able to do it well.
Yeah. Shout out to Sarah, right?
Yes.
We went from applicant to intern to now running the marketing for Get Official. All right. So here you are, you built an army of interns to kind of take your idea. So you had to constantly pitch pretty much, hey, how do I pay you super cheap to build my idea for me, right? Or how do I get you to work for free, right? So like as you were building this stuff, what advice do you have? Because you essentially were building a team based on vision, like in casting vision. What advice do you have there?
Make it seem as legit as possible. That was something that for the first couple of interns was really hard, but after you have a few, it's really easy to make the company seem bigger and more successful than it is. Yeah. So I'm not saying lie. I will never lie. But like, if you go to our LinkedIn now, like we have over 1,000 followers on our account. For a young startup that's a year old, should only have like 20. So it was something where you're able to see this kind of engagement and this kind of metrics. where we're just utilizing people liking and following us because they want a job to portray that we're a more successful company to others who then apply for the same job. So it becomes this feedback loop of something where you're able to really use it in order to grow. And I think that was the biggest thing besides selling the vision and what we're trying to do.
That's a great idea, man. Wow. So it's building your own fan base
Yeah,
who
exactly.
people will want to work there, want to be a part of the vision. The cool thing about that is that they want to follow because they believe in the mission of what you're doing at Get Official, and they want to maybe work there. So it's just like, hey, if you want to work here one day, if you want to use the platform one day, if you want whatever, if you like what we're doing, follow this because you could be a part of it somehow. And we'll figure out the details later. Now, talk to us about where you're at now.
So where we're at now, we're just over a year old, which is crazy to me. But we launched last February on Valentine's Day. I was lucky enough to be interviewed by the mayor of Miami, posted on his Twitter. That was the launch. That was our MVP. It went really well, but went awful. We barely had a working prototype. So we got 14,000 people signed up. No one liked it. We took the feedback, rebuilt everything, raised a little bit of money, and then launched in July of this year, or this past year. Hit number 5 on the App Store, 100,000 downloads. Everything worked, but it wasn't as good as it wanted to be. And now we're in the process of finalizing everything. We really got new partnerships, new kind of people involved, hired some more people to make it actually a company now. So now we're an actual company, which is really interesting. And now we're getting ready to launch our next version in the next couple of weeks. And then we're already starting the next set of features to be launched right before Valentine's Day of 2022.
Very cool. So I grew up South Florida, and I'm hanging out with you in South Florida somewhere, and we're going to Miami. We meet one of our partners down there, but then we're like, hey, I know the mayor, and I interviewed him, or he interviewed me. How did that happen? How did you get an interview with the mayor?
Twitter.
For an app? That's awesome.
Yeah, Twitter. It was one of those things like tech people love Twitter. Highly recommend utilizing it. So I was able to get in with the mayor by DMing him repeatedly. And what the mayor in Miami has been trying to do is they've been trying to show that Miami is a very tech-centric hub. So it was something where we leveraged that. We're like, hey, look, we'll make Miami one of our key cities that we focus on, but we just want to talk to you. And for them, they're like, okay, this is a win-win. Like they had something that they could show on Valentine's Day. So we filmed the interview 3 days before Valentine's Day. They had specific content for Valentine's Day. They had content promoting that Miami was open because this was during COVID. So this was something that they wanted to get more tourists there, and they wanted more people showing things. And since we showed dates, experiences, and events, they're like, okay, this shows that. So it's one of those things where we knew what Miami wanted. So we were just able to leverage that and really say, look, we just want to help you help ourselves. And this is a win-win for both of us. It costs you nothing. And we're going to focus on it and do more content around Miami because we think Miami is a very prominent city. And they're like, no, that makes a lot of sense to us. And that's kind of how we were able to get there.
Yeah, that's smart. Tying in, the events and what Miami's trying to push is, let's get people here. The Florida has been great about, being open and, really, encouraging people to, come here as a safe and wonderful place, the great country of Florida, I call it. And that's really, really smart, Zac. So where do you think the future of your app's going? So you created an app like the turn and burn for, the app industry for dating, right? You get a date, you no longer need it unless you're a serial dater. And you created something to kind of provide a continuation for daters. What's that look like?
Yeah. My goal long-term is to basically build the first relationship app. And the difference between relationship and social is my goal is to help people with their relationship with their partner, whether it's intimate or friends, with their family and with themselves, and help them develop and be better people rather than just social, help them show off who they are. So we're kind of focusing on the relationship in the short term and then expanding into helping you do more with your friends, with your family, and really document and explore your life in a way that is both online and offline to give you the best experiences.
Why is that even important to you?
To me, it was something where I realized how engaging social media was, but how fake it is at the same time. And I wanted something that didn't just copy everyone else, give someone a keyboard limit or a character limit or a new way to show a video. I wanted it to be a new way to find things to do, to enjoy things and enjoy experiences. And I think as we move into experiences more so with others, or kind of even when we see where we see it with kind of how millennials value experiences more than items, we see that this is going to be the trend in the future and everything's going digital. So we realize that, look, at the end of the day, we can't just have a scrapbook, but we want to basically give you a way to scrapbook your life so that you can do more and have a more exciting time. And kind of that's why it was really exciting to me.
Yeah. So what made you think to do this, right? Because you started looking at other dating apps. Like, are you married? Are you in a relationship? Or are you searching? Like, what gave
Plot
you the
twist, I'm
idea?
single.
Okay. Plot twist. Here it is. So, all right. So were you looking at like apps for like to find dates and you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
Something's missing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's incredible. So you were a user who then created something in the continuation ecosystem.
Yeah.
Brilliant. What question should I be asking you right now? Like you do interviews all day and you're talking to a lot of people. Like what question should someone ask you about your app, about your history, about where you're going? What should I ask you?
I think the only real thing that we haven't touched upon is why I designed it the way I did and why I built it the way I did. And the answer to that would be, in my last long-term relationship, I was abroad. It was a long distance relationship. And it was something where I realized how important technology was in a relationship, but there is nothing out there to help me be a better partner. So I ultimately ended up building a scrapbook for my girlfriend at the time. She did the same thing for me. We were sharing things across Instagram. We could never find things to do. She would come visit. She would plot every single place we saved on a map. And I was just like, this is way too tedious. Like, there has to be a better way. So ultimately, when we built Official, I was like, okay, anytime you swipe right being yes, and you save a date, we automatically plot it on a map for you. We automatically let you buy it. So it's these kind of little simple things where our goal was to take out the steps where you text your partner what you want to do, you try to send them an idea, you try to find out if it's open, you try to find out how to book it. And we wanted to just keep all those things in one platform to start.
All right. So I got this. And as you're building this, where do you see the future? Like you and I, we fast forward now, have a chat with the future Zac, and we look back and we go, we won. We did it. We did it together. How do we know we're winning? How do we know we won?
We know we won, and let's say that this is 3 years down the line. We know we've won when we're helping people have better relationships. So for us, one thing that I'm trying to instill and one thing that we've instilled in the team is that we're trying to use therapy, but not tell people, because so many people need therapy, but are still kind of scared of it to a degree. And because of that, we take the undertones of therapy and research and we really Trojan horse it to not tell them that it's therapy, but tell them that it's social media. Because when it's social media, no one questions it. So when we do this, we allow people to get the therapy or the tools that they may need, but may not feel comfortable asking for. So that's one of the main things that we see as success, is that we're actually helping people's relationship instead of just building another social media platform.
It's actually social media that's helpful.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we want to call it relationship media.
Yeah. That's interesting. So personal question. So
yep.
I like hats, right? So, you and I, we build this thing and we have a major exit and we're, like we still want to stay on as, chair emeritus or, on the chair spot so we can influence the future. But like, we're like, all right, we got to go build some other stuff. We had an exit. I'm going to buy a few hats, right? I like hats, flat caps, ball caps, maybe, logo hat. Like, what's going to be your purchase? What's your thing?
Oh, I have no idea. It's one of those things like as much as like I've dreamed about an exit, I've never really thought what I would put the money towards.
Yeah.
I guess part of it, I would probably buy myself a nice, almost not ranch, but like a tiny house, like somewhere where I can just go and not be bothered.
Yeah.
That I think would be something that I would love. And then beyond that, it would probably, I think that would be the first thing. And then just making sure that my family's good.
Yeah. Yeah. A little tiny house on a ranch or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds perfect. Little farm animals walking around, goats and sheep and such like that. Nothing too crazy. We're
Yeah.
not talking Yellowstone with Kevin Costner. We're just talking something cool and easy. All right. So as you're building, this and such, if someone like came to you and they were like the perfect person for, your app, what does that perfect person look like?
When you say perfect person,
Yeah.
user, investor, partner.
Let's go first user, like what's the scenario that your app solves a problem for? Like paint that
Yeah.
picture and then we'll talk about investor too. Happy to do.
Yeah. For us, perfect user, millennial, Gen Z, tend to skew towards women. And then in any urban areas, kind of where we do best. We have content everywhere, but obviously there's more to do in cities. So that's kind of why we tend to really target cities more so.
Okay. And then for the investor?
Someone who understands social media and consumer social, and someone who understands kind of the helping people aspect rather than just trying to go direct target subscription, maximize ROI.
Got it. So if that money comes, I introduce you to some venture capitalists and they go, oh yeah, we see the ROI on this. Hey, I don't care if they stay together as a couple. I don't care if they, forget that therapy crap, throw that out the window.
Yeah.
Do you want $1 million for X percentage? Would you take that money?
No, I don't think I would. And the real reason I wouldn't is because I see this as, if we don't care about our customers and if we don't care about if they stay together and they're in the right relationship, we're not going to have customers for very long. So like, it's one of those things where the longer the customer stays together, the better chance that they're a user of our app, the better chance we make money. So we succeed when our customers succeed. So that's kind of one of the main reasons why, although it might not be intuitive directly, the happier our customers are, the more money we'll make long term.
That's cool. Now, we go back and we chat with Justin later on, right? So Justin helps us walk through. He's your cousin attorney, right? So he's the one kind of guiding us and steering us as we build this thing out. We go back later on and talk to Justin. What are some things that, because Justin's done this a lot, what are some things that he's going to say, hey guys, as you build this and you guys have gone from where you're at and you're starting to get some venture money, you're starting to go, maybe some series A, series B, it's starting to get, what advice will Justin kind of say, hey guys, beware of this in the future? What do you think that would be?
Voting rights and board. I think those are the two things. Like, we've had this conversation and it's going to be something that I know he's going to continuously say, like, make sure you don't sell out too much and make sure that your voice doesn't have to be the loudest, but can be if needed.
Ooh, that's good. Make sure your voice doesn't have to be the loudest, but can be if needed. Yeah. Good point, Justin. All right. Thank you for that. All right. He's going to listen to this like, I never said that crap. Right. So Zac, as you're building this, I know that there's someone in the audience that goes, hey man, like what about you and your relationship? Like what's a perfect deal look like for you?
For me, I haven't been in a relationship right now because of the app, to be honest. Like, I know after reading all these relationship books what I need to do to be a great boyfriend and a great partner. And I can't fully do that in the stages we've been at. We're starting to loosen up and my role is starting to be more human rather than CEO.
Yeah.
So I think it will be a time in the relative future that it makes sense. But it's been something where in the past, couple months and even year or 2 years, I couldn't because it just wasn't the responsible thing to do.
So you're dating your dating app right now.
Exactly. I'm dating every one of my users.
Oh, there you go. You are the serial dater. Good job, man. So for other entrepreneurs out there who maybe just got kicked, to the curb in terms of from their job, they just got canned, they just got there, fired. You tell them congratulations, right? Like what's one other thing that you're going to tell them after that?
You don't have the option to fail, and failure is really only giving up.
So for the people out there who want to connect with you, maybe explore the tech that you're working on, maybe become a member, where's a good place for people to connect with you and maybe do a deal with you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Stern Zac, STERNZAC. Or if you want to find us on LinkedIn, it's official, or on Twitter, Instagram, it's Get Official App. And then our website is www.getofficial.co.
Yeah. And is your name Zachary and then you shorten it just to kind of make it
Yeah,
like Zac Stern? Okay.
I do. Exactly.
Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. All right. One other question. So I asked you what question should I have asked you? What's one question that people in your audience, in the audience here, what's one question that they should ask themselves today?
I would say just what makes them happy. I would say really that's the simplest thing. I'm young, but I'm really lucky that I realized that we're only on this planet for a little while, and being miserable for any amount of time sucks. Being miserable for an extended period of time is a waste of time. So it's one of those things that figure out whatever makes you happy and really just make it so.
Make it so. Very cool. Is there anything that I missed in our interview today that like I was supposed to ask you and like we were supposed to cover?
The only other question I typically get asked, and this is semi-serious, is what kind of animal would I be, or what kind of animal would the company be?
Ooh.
And the answer for that is a golden retriever for both. So that's an easy one that we missed, but it's okay.
Yeah, I could see that. I like golden retrievers. What would the golden retriever's name be if you had a puppy golden? What would its name be?
Ooh, I don't know. That's gonna be one. And it's funny that you say that. I had friends this weekend that are joking and have insisted that they're gonna be buying a golden retriever in the next month or two.
Yeah.
So I really hope I don't have to do this, only because if I can't have a girlfriend, I don't think I can have a dog. But if I had to name it, I think it would be something in the romance space to signify kind of all that we're doing with official.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It would either be something like that or something as simple like buddy. Like just really easy cop out answer all around to just try and make it so that, it's an adorable little puppy.
Yeah. I like it. All right. Well, I don't think I could top that one. So, ladies and gentlemen, listening into this, man, if you are excited about keeping relationships together and want to explore what Zac's working on, find a way to participate if you'd like to learn about that, or maybe even participate, being a part of the group that helps push this mission along of helping people stay together. All his contact information will be in the show notes below. Connect with our guests, say thank you for being on the show, and find a way to do a deal together. That's the purpose and mission of the Deal Scout, to put people in deals together. Until then, we'll talk to you all on the next episode of the Deal Scout. See you, everybody.